Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Ashala here, bringing you the Psychic Tarot Show. It actually says the wacky woo on my background. I'm not really sure why, but times are pretty wacky and we're definitely woo here. So I'll take it. I'll take the wacky woo. I've missed you all, and I didn't realize that I was actually going to be not doing a forecast for 2 weeks. So it's actually been 3 weeks because there was 2 weeks of holidays with the Beyond Mystic channel. So I haven't been on holidays that whole time, by the way, but I did have a lovely holiday. And I feel like we're coming back in to reconnect this week on point with so much powerful activation, what is going on in our truther community, what is going on in the global stage, what is going on in the US stage, what is going on for each of us as individuals. There's so much to share about, and I'm really grateful to see many familiar faces here. Welcome. I appreciate that you showing up here on our live are bringing your spirit guides, your, I want to say, team of allies, so that together there's a lot more energy around creating this connection with the spirit, the source, the divine, so that we can get really great information coming through. So thanks for joining me here. And before I forget, please remember, of course, to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. And if you want to book a session with me, you can find me here at the Beyond Mystic Consultations page. Check out the banner below, because there you can access this coupon code Beyond Mystic and receive a 10% discount if you'd like to book a session with me. I'd love to see you. I'm actually opened up here. There's even spaces in the next week or two. So get on in there before it fills up, and I look forward to seeing some of you in the weeks ahead. And let's look now at this particular week ahead. So this is the week of the 20th to the 27th of July, 2024. And we know we have this incredible second full moon in the sign of Capricorn. That's actually happening tomorrow. And it's, all the astrologers are just going off about what's going on right now. I always say to people, this has been, we keep hearing this over the last 4 or 5 years. And we're like, has it always been this way? No, it has not always been this way. There's always been transits and phases of different astrological configurations, but right now at this juncture, over these last 5 or 6 years and into the next 2 or 3 years, this is some of the most potent alignments again and again and again, just so stacked, so layered. And it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because this is where we are as a collective community of evolving humans on this extraordinary planet. So let's tune in together. I've shuffled the cards. I get to lay it out facing me this time. So hopefully you can see okay. This is the house of ourself, the ego, the house of Aries. We are getting productive here this week. I just was working with a client before I came on to do this live, and we were seeing energy over this next 2.5 to 3 week period between now and the Lionsgate portal, which is the 8th of August. And there was a lot of emotional sensitivity, a lot of confusion, a lot still of kind of smoke and mirrors energy. But we are seeing things landing also. We are seeing truths landing. We are seeing, disclosure and things being brought into the forefront, onto the front burner. A lot of things around our material resources, how how money is landing for us in this upcoming 2 or 3 weeks, what's going on with financial systems and so on. So while all of this swirling smoke and mirrors chaos and certain things grounding into some of the disclosure that we've been waiting for the last 4 or 5 years, we are actually getting stuff accomplished in all of that. And I like that. It feels like stay grounded, nose to the grindstone a little bit, like you can be productive this week in a tangible kind of physical way. And money situations look like we are looking over here, like Page of Swords is truths emerging, more intel coming through, more information coming through, small segments, not a big, massive, sweeping shift, but moving in that direction. So we are seeing more clarification. And those of us that have been preparing for this time, there's always more preparation to do, isn't there? So this is a great week to, dot some I's and cross some T's around your financial plans, some of the ways that you've been preparing for the changes that are upon us. So this is good. This is us saying, while I'm waiting, the big, huge disclosures are still kind of just slowly opening up. While I'm waiting, there's a lot to keep me occupied. Okay, in the house of Gemini, this is the house of, among other things, communication and media, right? This is the media. This is where we receive our news. So I'm just going to move these cards up a little bit so you can see better. We've got 8 of Pentacles in the house of Aries. We have that Page of Swords in the house of Taurus, our security, our resources, our finances. Now, Gemini, among other things, it's about media. And we have the Justice card showing up here in the house of communications and media. So something coming to justice, something being brought forward, some, I want to say, action taking in a judicial way this week that's going to be brought to our attention. Okay, in the house of home, which is your family, your sanctuary, where you go for sanctuary. This is very much a home is where the heart is kind of energy. We have this beautiful little Page of Cups. And so our hearts are sensitive. This is the inner child card. So somehow it feels like caring for the sensitive soul inside of you. All of this big energy, and yet you may want to take refuge in your personal sanctuary, whatever that looks like, and just have some time to sit with that part of you that is very, very sensitive, because I saw that we are still in tremendous sensitivity right up until the Lionsgate portal, which is the 8th of August. So there's a lot of, I want to say, delicate emotion underneath all of this revelation, all of this energy of truths coming out and things landing. We are still feeling quite, I want to say, sensitive, but also the Page of Cups is about opening our hearts to trust something greater. So we are feeling the solidarity in our community. We are feeling something that really matters to us, and we are getting closer in that solidarity, in our shared, I want to say, sensitivity. So, this isn't all about going out and tackling the world with a revolutionary sort of energy. This is about being gentle with ourselves and each other and staying with the people that you trust, basically. It's very interesting. We have so far 2 of the 4 child cards in this spread. So let's see. We'll talk about that as we go on a little further. The next position is the House of Leo. We have here 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands is valor. It is about holding the high ground. Leo is about embracing what's right in front of us. What is the universe offering us? It's offering us this solidarity, holding the ground, holding the high ground together. I love that. Yay. I'm just checking in to make sure my sound is good. Yeah, thank you. Hit the like button, everybody. Thanks a lot. Lovely to see you all here. Okay, so hold the high ground, know your people, stick with your community, and in our daily life, habits, health. Gosh, this is a pretty heavy duty card to have in that house. It feels like it has to do with rules, with authority figures. So I want to see what's across from this when we get a little further around the wheel, but this could be where we are, yeah, somehow out of step with the rules and the authority in our daily lives. I'm going to wait on that. Let's hold on to that and see how it ties in when we go across the wheel. Excuse me, to see what's on the opposite side. But the Emperor is there. You know, it's kind of like, I want to say, I always think about the Emperor showing up in some of these positions. It's sort of like where you get into trouble when you're a kid. Usually it's like the father figure, right? And it's like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And this is in the area of our routines, our daily habits, and also about, you know, we have this productivity card and a lot about attending to the details. This could be a really good week to attend to any details that have to do with law, authority, things that you might be going, gosh, I could get in trouble for that. I don't know. It's just somehow they're saying, like, um, maybe notice where you may be leaving yourself open. We'll talk more about it when we get to the other side. Okay, here in relationships, partnerships, this is also about law, legal matters. It's about contracts. So interesting, something to do with contracts that we've signed that are now, I want to say, we're kind of getting ready to throw a lot of that in the garbage. But we're not quite there yet. So what I often see with the times ahead is that we kind of have to, for a while, keep a foot in both worlds. And so the revolutionary part of us is just like, forget it. I'm throwing out all my my boxes of old tax stuff or whatever. Like, I'm done. Forget about all this stuff. I don't want any more contracts or rules from the old system. And it's interesting because it's like, I always tell the story. It reminds me of in Lord of the Rings when the Balrog falls off and Gandalf has knocked him over the edge, and everybody's like, "Yeah, goodbye to that big bad ugly," and then all of a sudden, at the very last minute, the Balrogs caught Gandalf by the foot. So if we don't sort of finish until we're completely out of danger. It's important that we don't toss it all out. We might still need some of that in the days, the weeks, hopefully not the months, and certainly not the years ahead. But anyway, we also know that these systems go down fighting. So that part, to be aware of that, it doesn't just sort of taper off and oh, eventually, of course it will, but we are still right in the real fight of things. And it feels like there's still some smoke and mirrors, big maneuvers that are being planned by dark force side. So it's just about, until that is completely off the radar, it's still important not to count your chickens before they're hatched, basically. So there we go. Okay. We're at half point here. I'm just going to remind you that if you want to book a session with me, you can do that through the Beyond Mystic Consultants page. So here's where you go. There's a link to that below. You can use the coupon code on the banner below to receive a 10% discount. And as I mentioned before, I am booking now. There's spaces opened up in the next, I think, 10 days to 2 weeks. So yeah, jump on there while there's some space in the immediate future. And also, of course, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel, which we see right here. Okay, let's carry on with our big picture overview for this week. I have to say as well that I've been waiting for this. I now hold back forecasting just for my own personal week, and I wait to see what our guides in all their energy together combined brings forward for all of us. And it's always so relevant for me. I look back often on these forecasts, and while I'm doing it, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, that sort of seems relevant. And invariably in that week ahead, I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, there's that. And when I notice those things, it's just a way to be like, okay, we saw this. And it gives us that sense of comfort that we are being held by, I want to say, there's our destiny. There's things that are very likely unfolding. There's nothing set in stone. Timelines change, destinies change, but you can kind of gauge with a certain degree of probability using these systems, divination systems. That's why, our ancestors use them for eons. It's not really about having all the answers or having a huge advantage. It's really more about preparing ourselves and having that preemptive kind of look at possibilities so that we are better prepared. I always say it's like weather forecasting. So yeah, I'm seeing some questions here. Full moon warnings. We've got a question about the Trump rally. If I can get to that, I definitely will. Yeah, so if you have questions, please put them in capital letters. I'll try to get to them at the end of today's forecast. Let's keep going here. Oh, happy news at last in the house of Scorpio. Scorpio, if you've heard about the sign of Scorpio, people often go, ooh, Scorpio, they're a little bit dangerous. The reason they're thought of that way, Scorpio's sun signs are thought of that way, is because Scorpio is really about going to the deep, dark kind of underworld or underbelly of everything. It's about going right to the bottom and dredging up that deepest, darkest mystery. And so if you don't want to have everything brought up, the energy of Scorpio can be very unsettling for people. This this card in that position, 10 of Cups in Scorpio, 10 of Cups is like a beautiful, we call it the happily ever after card. So somehow we've done so much dredging that there really is hardly anything left, is what the guides are saying. Like we're coming to that point where we've really cleaned it up. Now, when exactly is that happening? I like to say, it's sort of like this ratio or a bell curve ratio if you're into statistics and math. It's like I would say the bulk of that bell curve is going to be in about between 10 weeks, possibly even lingering into several months, possibly even 10 months. But we are moving to that point very rapidly, exponentially, where so much of the dredging has been done that we're kind of on that downhill ride. And that's super exciting. It feels like when you look at this card, just look at this family, harmony among families again. People coming into that frequency of gratitude, fulfillment, coming back to some of the values that we've, basically had taken from us. So this is very hopeful, and it's not just hopeful as in good luck, fat chance that's going to happen. This is very, very likely. Scorpio doesn't mess around. So if there's 10 cups in Scorpio, we can be assured that there's rainbows coming. We've had the rain and the rainbows are on their way. Okay, and when I say rainbows, I mean the frequency of joy, fulfillment, abundance, gratitude. All right. Let's look at the next position is the house of Sagittarius. Are we going to have an adventure this week? Are we going to, have any possibility of going on a little trip? Well, based on what's going on in the airports, it's very unlikely. However, there are ways that we can celebrate, up level, re-energize ourselves. So I almost get like a little mini holiday this week at some point, even if it's just an afternoon, even if it's just 3 or 4 hours. There's some little, I want to say, celebration or holiday that you weren't expecting, that you didn't think you could make happen. So with all of these limiting scenarios that are in front of us, it can start to feel like a self-imposed kind of lockdown energy is happening. And I really caution people from going completely extremely into that. It's important to look for the ways that you can not go into, it's sort of like lock down and wait for this to all be over. Well, what if the waves of this are going to continue on for quite a long time, the after effects or whatever? If we wait for it all to be over, again, it's getting ourselves used to the idea of just being in a type of locked in energy. And what I've been seeing in readings lately is that it's important that we do feel the energy of stability and that we move towards stability, but stability in the future is not going to look the way it did in the past. It is always going to be about stability in equal measure with flexibility. So we're not just going to be buying into options that limit our or buying into securities that limit our options. We're going to be looking at creating security energy that is about expanding our options, not limiting them. So you can start to notice how you're making choices. If you're making choices around security, which is just like throwing everything you've got at what feels like it's going to be the most secure thing, and yet it limits your options. To do that, to have that sense of security, you have to shut down all other options and wait. I'm encouraging people to challenge that a little bit and look for ways that you can stay out of going into that lockdown mentality. Okay. Then up here in the house of Capricorn. Okay, so this is Capricorn, among other things. It is about the outer world. It is about kind of like the world stage in a way, the bigger external rules, regulations. We've got the healer card here. I'm going to move this down a little bit so you can see it. There we go. We've got temperance. The temperance angel is up here in our world stage. Rules and regulations. We are coming out of this, I want to say, black and white kind of rulership, power dominant model of governance. And we're moving into something that is much more flexible, much more balanced. So this is a beautiful, I feel like this week, in a way, there's a lot of tone being set. Are you feeling that? It's not so much just about this little week. It's about what is the tone and the frequency that we're establishing this week that's going to continue to reverberate through these next few weeks between now and the Lionsgate portal. It's going to reverberate into the fall. It's going to reverberate into the close of this year. That tone setting is something that is very relevant this week. It's interesting that we've been gone for 2 or 3 weeks. It feels very important that we're back together on this platform this week, because it feels like we are really establishing, even us energetically together, are establishing a tone for the future. So let's just say this, with your awake community and friends and so on, can you, as much as possible, steer away from lamenting about all that's wrong or feeling a lot of anxiety and expressing that together? Can you say, yes, we knew this was happening. We knew this was coming. We're right in the thick of it. How do we share and support each other at this time? Because there's going to be, I want to say, almost like an innocence emerging here, right? This is this little Page of Cups. We talked about him before. He's across from the Temperance Angel. So there's an emerging sense of hopefulness, innocence, openness. I've said this several times over the last few months. This is happening even though our logical mind says it shouldn't be happening because things are getting worse, not better. But that's the illusion. The illusion is that it just looks worse because everything's been dredged up. But the energy is actually better. So hold that. Hold that this week. Hold the energy of balance. Temperance is a beautiful balancing energy. It's also about, we have these 2 cups with water, circulating water. I say to people, we're heading into the age of Aquarius. Well, I feel like I think that the real big turning point was 2012. So we're about 12 years into the 2,500 year cycle of the age of Aquarius. And among other things, that age is relevant to water. Aquarius is the water bearer. So we're going to be talking about water, I see by the 2,500 year mark, all the water on the planet is going to be pure, crystalline, clear. Now, you could say, oh, forget it, as if we're going to wait that long. No, 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 we don't have to wait that long. But what I'm saying is that this is part of what we're here to learn in this 2,500 year cycle. We're here to learn about the preciousness of water. So start where you are. Start with noticing the difference between living water and dead water. I talk about living water, and when it's summertime here in Canada where I live, I try to get myself into living water every day. So living water is basically natural water that is in streams, rivers, lakes, oceans. And dead water is water that has been processed in plants and put through pipes that are basically straight, long pipes that take the toroidal spin off the water. So in effect, they neuter the water, they nullify it, they take the life force energy out of it. So when we wash with that water, we're washing with dead water. When we drink water from the tap, even if it's gone through a water purifier, we're still drinking dead water that isn't energized. So I look for sources of natural living live water to drink as well. And that includes wells. This is a big topic, but I want to say, just get curious about this week. Get curious about your relationship to water. We are having droughts in a lot of places on the planet, heat waves all over in lots of places on the planet. And then conversely, we're having floods in other places. So the relationship to dryness and moisture, hot and cold, is we're really being put through our paces. And I feel like part of this is showing us the preciousness of natural living water. So, little rant from Ashala. You're always going to get a bit of that when you come on here. The next one, I'll finish this and then I'll look at your questions. So the next one, oh my gosh, we've got 3 pages. It's another little page of Pentacles, showing up in the house of Aquarius. Aquarius is we just talked about the age of Aquarius, and it's the sign of the future, of working together with groups, our social networks, our friends. So we have a beautiful card that has to do with healthy lifestyle stuff. Page of Pentacles, a lot about getting, practicing what we preach, basically. So this is a great week to practice what you preach among friends, to share anything to do with healthy lifestyle stuff. I see a lot of you on here sharing how you are treating your water, how you are finding sources of living water. Beautiful. This is a week for a lot of that kind of collaboration, sharing recipes, sharing healing modalities, teaching each other what you know. Like, I'm getting chilled all over. It's that simple. So when you are with your friends this week, your awake community, and even if that's few and far between and you have to get on the phone and talk to them, see if you can focus on this. See if you can say, okay, we've talked about A to Z a lot, and there's so much going on. There's so much uncertainty, and yet also really big drops happening. So can we just say, put that aside, give at least equal amount of time to talking frequency, talking what's working. What are you experiencing success with? Awesome. Tell me how I can learn how to do that. Like, those things are going to have so much extra merit this week. We talked about that 7 of Wands, the Valor card right here, taking the high ground. So we can help each other. It's not just hanging in by our our fingernails, right? It's not just like, oh, I can't make, it's like, let's get a little established. We're not just hanging in. We're actually up leveling while all this is falling down. All right, last card of the wheel, drum roll please, is strength. Yahoo! So 2 of the most challenging houses in the wheel, Scorpio, Pisces. Pisces is the deep subconscious. It's the hopes and the fears, the things that are being kept kind of under wraps or secret from us that can be our undoing. None of that. Okay, none of that. This is a week where what's going to actually emerge is your strength. You're going to be like, okay, you're waiting for the next shoe to drop, waiting for the next thing to be like, oh, we've grown accustomed to a lot of bad news. We've grown accustomed to a lot of bad energy. And this week, get ready to really feel the up level. This is going to keep building to that Lionsgate portal. So yes, a lot of what's out there still looks like crazy chaos movie stuff. Know that what's actually going on is almost the opposite of that. Look for evidence of that and look for it within yourself. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Radiant One, thank you for sharing that. Findaspring.org. I love that website. I was actually thinking to mention it. So you've got it. Anybody that wants to access that, there it is in the comments, findaspring.org. And there is an example of how we can help each other. I bet if you took everybody that's here right now, how many have we got? 544 people watching right now. Okay. You take all of you, and any one of you say, I need help with this, I bet you're going to have 10 responses that are just phenomenal, right? That's why getting involved in the Beyond Mystic community, get on there this week. Yeah, you can ask your questions. You can share intel, no problem. Give it half the time. Focus on what's working. What are you having success with? What healing modalities are working for you? What lifestyle stuff is working for you? What relationship healing stuff is? Just share. Ask your questions. Get help. I know you already do that, but this week it's on fire. I mean, our province is on fire, and a lot of North America and even Europe is on fire. But I just have to say something about that before I lay the inner card here. Well, I guess maybe I will lay it, and we'll talk about it at the same time. You know, somebody said to me a few days ago, and I think it is kind of interesting that Mother Nature is going through menopause, and that a lot of what's happening is this energy of some kind of a transition. And so, yes, we know that some of the weather a lot of it has been manipulated. And yes, we know that there are these forces that have affected. Everything is not so-called natural. And yet, they are all part of the natural, larger creator. So they are natural on some level. It's kind of like saying, chemicals aren't natural, but they are basically extracted from nature and then manipulated to become unnatural. But even that is still somehow connected to a larger naturalness. This is super, I want to say, existential, philosophical, but recognize that there is some wisdom. There is some wisdom in all of what's happening right now, that even nature has a plan, and part of it is about clearing a lot of the old. So it's distressing, and we feel for the suffering on every level: the trees, the plants, the animals, all the nature spirits, and then the people whose properties are affected, and the air quality, and so on and so on. I mean, it just feels so huge. And yet, look at the energy that's emerging out of the ashes here. We are in the time of the phoenix. Phoenix rising from the ashes. Scorpio, 10 of Cups. Okay, that's the overview for the week. Lots of philosophy, but kind of makes sense. So we've got a question here about full moon warning. Is there anything we should be watching out for? Thank you. I will look at that right now. So full moon warning. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I'm shuffling. Okay. What do we need to know about the full moon energy? Okay. So I'm going to speak a little bit about this card. Oh, look at that. Wow. Wow. So the Inquirer is us, the Empress, coming at this from what I just spoke about, the wisdom and intelligence of the natural world includes a lot of the insanity that has dominated this planet for the last 8,000 or 9,000 years. Okay, so it's part of the plan. And what we need to know overall about this particular full moon, 3 of Swords. Now, people look at this and they go, oh, that looks horrible. Yuck. Like, what? We're going to have this terrible piercing situation. What I like to say about the 3 of Swords, I call it the open heart surgery card. The swords have been there for a long time. The hardest thing is to extract them. What do we need to extract them is gentleness. If you just pull them out, it's not going to be good. So this is a delicate time, gentle operation. Be with me here on this, folks. How is that this has come about, that we're ready to do this? We just went through a big 10 of Cups. There's just been this wave of openness in the heart chakra of humanity that allows us now, it's almost like opening up the body, the being, so that we can see the heart that needs surgery. So it's because we did something beautiful that it's risen to be healed now. What do we need to know about this? We are beyond the point. We can't pull back from it. The Death card is the transition card, and it usually, I remember when I was learning with Janine, she used to say, it's like 6 to 12 months at least. Like, it's a transition. It's not something that just happens quickly. So this transition, though, once you're in it, there's no going back. You can't say, hold on, pause. I don't think I want to go. I'm going to go back the other way. Like, nope, we're in. We can't stop that now. So it's going to seem like there's pain, but it's the old. We are literally extracting those old swords delicately, with care, with gentleness, okay? And, okay, this card, King of Pentacles in the potential future, is a very good financial card. So is there something that's waiting in the wings? I know you know what I'm talking about, to kind of catch us as all this change continues to release the old. So there's already something stable underneath. A lovely perspective. A lovely perspective. And, you know, this is a king. So it's a masterful, stabilizing resource is what I get. So we don't just go through this big transition, release everything, and have nothing. There is something waiting for us on the other side of this transition that is stable and flexible. Okay, 3 of Wands, 7 of Swords. Okay, so this is our advice. These cards, 10 of Cups was the recent past. The Death card is the present, and the potential future is King of Pentacles. So we have gone from, as I said, we did something right. We did something beautiful. Humanity's heart chakra has expanded, which has allowed us to bring this very, I want to say, broken heart out for surgery, for healing, delicate, gentleness. And something is stabilizing after this great transition. Okay, then our advice is 3 Wands, 7 Swords. This is about this full moon tomorrow. What do we need to know? What do we need to do? We need to keep the energy flowing. 3 Wands is exploring, stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. So if at all possible, avoid being too rigid and in ruts, especially over the next 3 days. So it doesn't mean that you just have to be totally erratic and spontaneous, but do something out of the ordinary. Do something a little bit different. Keep energy fresh, refreshing, okay? And then also, this is the control card, 7 of Swords. So it's the swords. A lot of the pain of our broken heart is the stories. It's the narrative that goes along with what we've gone through. So the 7 of Swords are about, we don't try to control the outer world. What we work on is mastering our thoughts, directing them. If we're going to be thinking about something, we might as well be directing it towards something that is evolving us in a direction towards healing. So, you know, sometimes, and I find myself doing this, I sometimes just catch myself like I'm about to go on a rant and I can express the emotions like, wow, I'm still so angry about this. I'm still so triggered about this. Whew, you all know what I'm talking about. And then in the meantime, this is what I've been doing about it. This is how I've been working with my stress. This is kind of helping. Have you ever done this? Have you tried this? What do you do to deal with stress? That is what we're doing. We're taking all of the potential anxiety and we're not letting it rule us anymore. So 30%, the 3 and the 7 here, 30% is the narrative that we are still working on releasing, healing our hearts gently with. The other 70% is us heading in a new direction and saying, yes, and I'm going this way. Okay, so that's our full moon. There was another great question. Let me just go along here and see. Okay. There was a question. Ready in the wings. Yes, I see that. Thank you. Is Trudeau P leaving office next week? That's a good question. Let's look at that. And I remember that someone asked about the assassination attempt. So yeah, I feel like I want to sort of leave that in Janine's corner because she's answering so many questions about that and I don't want to kind of go off on a tangent with it. But let's look at Trudeau leaving office as soon as next week. Kind of good, interesting question to leave off our live Q&A here. Well, Q&A, we're doing a forecast, and then there's a little bit of answering questions as well. So this is us. Again, a little bit of this feeling of we're not out of the woods yet. So keep your armor on, right? Keep your armor on. That came up earlier in the forecast. It's funny because when the person asked the question, I was like, oh yeah, he's going out. He's going on holiday or something. Like, I almost got the feeling he was going out, but is he going out for good is the question. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's already gone is kind of also what I'm getting. That's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, he really isn't there, so it's kind of a moot point. Yeah. It's almost more, I think, what you're asking is it going to be officially declared? And I almost get a bit more waiting on that, but because interestingly, what I'm getting is it's really important for more stuff to come to the surface about him. And by keeping him there, supposedly there, it allows for the overall public to kind of really dive deep with more information about him. So I think what is going to come forward, I'm going to just speculate 8 or 9 weeks and as long as 4 months before some official declarations are made. But believe me, there's going to be a lot more learned about him. And it's almost like leaving that figurehead there creates, it's sort of, it's almost like you can, if he's already gone, then everybody's like, oh, well, who cares? He's gone anyway. We don't care. Let's just move on. But it feels important that we don't just move on. It feels important that we dig deeper. So that's going to become more public knowledge. Yeah. So a little bit like he's going to be quite talked about and exposed in the next couple of months. Yeah. Okay, folks. Well, this has been a beautiful, we've gone close to an hour on our live weekly forecast. I'm just going to bring you back to looking at, of course, the Beyond Mystic YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe. And let's see, if you would like to book a reading with me, here you go. Psychic 1-hour tarot reading session. We start off by doing a big picture overview. If you're new to me, we always look for about 15-20 minutes at what your spirit guides want you to be aware of. We use that big zodiac wheel spread, and then we go on to looking at your questions. And for those of you that have had sessions with me, you can verify that we can go all over the place. We can look at detailed stuff, specific questions. We can look at general questions, spiritual questions, metaphysical questions. I love the full gamut of it. I don't like just looking at spiritual things. I like looking at just very, very practical things as well. So yeah, there's that. And then let's have a look at this. I want to bring your awareness to this. Crypto crash course. I just want to make sure it's showing up. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Okay. So crypto crash course level 1. This is with JSNIP4 and Coco. You can save 10% with the code PANIC10. And let me just see, when is this happening? I don't have the date on our poster here, but it's going to be in the links below. So check that out because I think this is really relevant. I love that there's more support for us to have a really beautiful, diverse, transitional currency kind of platforms. So awesome. Looking forward to this. I'm going to say fare thee well to all of you. Have a beautiful week. I'm so glad that we're back connected, and I look forward to sharing with you again, same time, same